What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So what I want to address is I want to talk about the fourth stimulus check, but how this is playing a major role and impact on the student loan forgiveness program, and how we're seeing President Biden and lawmakers actually pull back a little bit because they're waiting to see what happens with student loan forgiveness. And again, I know it's weird, but why would President Biden be waiting for student loan forgiveness to then talk about potentially adding in more stimulus to the next infrastructure package, or how we could potentially see a push for an extension of the child tax credits, or maybe an increase to the earned income tax credits, or the whole host of additional stimulus at this point? But I want to address this because this is where things are starting to kind of progress. And I know I say this a lot, that things are progressing and they're moving very slow. Just last week, I actually did a video where I was telling you guys how Congress is inching forward. And a lot of people are like, inching forward is not quick enough. We need to take big leaps and bounds. And it's 100% true, but that's not how Congress works. So here's what we're going to discuss today. First, we're going to discuss the fourth stimulus check, but we're also going to discuss student loan forgiveness and why we're waiting on all these different things to fall, right? These little pieces need to fall into place before lawmakers can really figure out what they're going to push for in the next package. So here's what we know. Right now, we know Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Elizabeth Warren. Those are the two main people, but they are pushing for student loan forgiveness. They want to see up to $50,000 per borrower. And the reason for this is because at $50,000 per borrower, this would wipe away the majority of student loan debt, which would mean all these borrowers, current and past borrowers that are still trying to pay off their loans, they could then take this money and put it back into the economy through maybe through buying a home, getting a mortgage. They could boost the economy elsewhere, because paying the federal government for a student loan is just not enough. So according to the reports that came out the other day, and I didn't bring this up yesterday, but I'm bringing it up today, the reason why many people were not really discussing this is simply because it is a way for the government to make more money. That the government actually doesn't make a whole lot of money off of student loans. They make a very small amount, but they could actually charge more, get more money, get a bigger return on their investment if they wipe away this debt and then allow those people to go and get more debt, accrue more debt, by purchasing a home, where the government would then get, obviously the home sales would probably increase, would get, prices would go up. We'd see taxes being paid, right? All these other things would kind of fall in place. And that's what, at least according to the reports, that's what some economists are saying would be better for the economy, would be better for the U.S. government, and it actually bring our debt levels back down. So again, this is just a report, but I wanted to bring this to you because this is actually holding up stimulus talks, stimulus checks, more nutrition assistance, rental assistance, mortgage assistance, any type of assistance to the American people. It's being held up because of student loan forgiveness. It's being held up because these child tax credits that are going to be coming out in less than 2 weeks. These are the things that are holding up the talks and the discussions and actually passing these bills, because everybody wants to see, well, how are these things going to play into this? How are the child tax credits going to work? Will the American people, will the families, will the parents spend the money on the children? Will they save it and put it into a savings account for maybe a college fund? We don't know. We honestly don't know. But this is where lawmakers say we need to just kind of wait and see. But again, this is where these lawmakers, specifically the senators, are really pushing for more relief, and they want President Biden to just come out and just say, all right, we're going to forgive up to $50,000 in student loan forgiveness, or $10,000. But that's where we're hearing more and more reports is President Biden still has no idea if he can even do this. He has no idea if legally, as the president, he can do an executive order to forgive up to $50,000 in student debt. All the reports are indicating that he has the ability to forgive up to $10,000, but that's it. And if that's it, is that enough? Some say no. A lot of experts are saying that no, and these are education experts are saying that $50,000 is more than enough to get us to get the American people back on their feet, provide them with that additional stimulus. But $10,000 is not enough. It needs to be more. But here's where student debt is also stopping stimulus. Some lawmakers are saying that if people that have student debt get their debt just completely wiped away, why should they stop there? Why shouldn't they go and provide maybe a check? And that'd be the simplest form. That's one of the reasons why I bring it up, is because they say, why wouldn't we just provide a stimulus check to some of these people? And they can go and some people that don't have student debt, because either they paid it off or they never accrued any debt, and because of them not accruing any debt for student loans, they maybe didn't go to college, and so they've been negatively impacted that way. And so why couldn't the federal government come in, step up, and pay these people that never got a chance to go to college and give them the ability to then go to college? You could do that with free community college. Obviously that works. That's something that lawmakers are discussing at this point. That's something that President Biden wants as well. But as of right now, what we are hearing is that not enough Democrats, okay, not just lawmakers in general, not enough Democrats are in support of canceling student debt. Some say that this is needed. We need to see this. We need to make sure that not every single person is treating the exact same way. And the reason for that is because, yeah, fairness is great when you are younger, when you're in school, but in the real world, nothing is fair. Some people get paid more than others. This is also the reason why lawmakers are pushing to, kind of narrow that pay gap, and not just amongst new hires and people that have been in the industry for decades, but from women to men who have the exact same qualifications. They also say they want to narrow the pay gap, obviously between blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians. Everybody needs to be treated fairly, and that's 100% correct. But some say that just by doing all these things, canceling student loan debt, okay, giving everybody a clean slate, absolutely fair, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and Congress would never agree on that. So we will see what happens, but what I can tell you is if it comes down to fairness and lawmakers passing bills that are going to be fair for both Democrats, Republicans, progressives, and if that's what we're going to look at, some say this is not going to happen. We will not see a bipartisan bill because it's not fair. We will not see a budget reconciliation bill. Number one, because it's not fair, but number two, because the bipartisan bill will not pass. And so that's where we're starting to see more and more updates is right now, nobody can agree on, for one, what's going to be in the bill, but two, how the bill is going to be paid for. What we do know is that Congress, they want to push to have China pretty much put into a fund. And there's no amount that's being discussed, but have China put into a fund a certain amount, which is going to be used kind of towards restitution to the American people, to businesses, people that have been negatively impacted by the pandemic, because Congress is saying, and lawmakers are saying, this is something that we've heard before, but now more and more governors, more and more states are starting to realize, all right, China is actually covering up more than they're actually giving us as information. And so because of that, what some are saying is that we need to dig into this a little bit more. We need to hold China accountable. This is exactly what former President Donald Trump had to say. It was like about a month ago, that he was just saying that we need to hold China accountable, and China needs to pay about $10 trillion in restitution to the United States. Now, I don't know if President Biden is going to come out and demand China pay. I don't think he's going to stop China from pretty much conducting business here in the United States. I think things will be pretty much going exactly how they are right now. But we could see Congress, we could see lawmakers decide, you know what, it's time. The American people have suffered enough. We're gonna actually go after those who caused this and make them pay. But the reports as of today are indicating that the only way that the United States would even do this is if they had the support of other nations, other bigger, powerful nations that would actually hold China accountable. Some say that that is something that they are working on, that is part of the discussions. But again, this is not going to happen overnight. This will not happen immediately. This is something that would most likely drag on for months, if not years. So we'll see what happens there. But one thing I can tell you is that the bipartisan infrastructure package is going to pass at some point. Whether this has the majority of Republicans on board or it has the majority of Democrats on board, that is something we don't know. But experts are anticipating this bill will pass no matter how difficult it is to pass for Democrats, because Democrats are pretty much giving in and giving up all their different priorities in order to see that Republicans get this bill or this bipartisan bill agreed upon. But the issue here is, if progressives do not see their priorities in the budget reconciliation bill, which would follow pretty close to the bipartisan bill, if progressives don't see this, they're not going to vote in favor of the bipartisan bill. And if the bipartisan bill does not get the progressive votes, the easiest way, according to experts, to pass this bill is to go and get more Republicans on board. And the only way to do that is to give in to more Republican priorities. And that means taking out Democratic priorities, probably lowering the bill from roughly $1.2 trillion over 8 years, probably somewhere down to $1 to maybe $800 billion over 8 years. So it's going to cut off about $200 to $400 billion over that time span. However, some say that might be what is needed to get a bipartisan deal through, and then Democrats can move on to a Democratic-only bill, which is that budget reconciliation. So, as I know more, I promise I will share more. I just wanted to fill you in with this little update. I know a lot of people are currently wondering what's going on. The problem right now is lawmakers are on recess. They will not be back for a couple weeks, or about a couple weeks. And so that's the issue right now, is we're pretty much just waiting. We're in limbo, but we are starting to get some reports from lawmakers that are back at home in their home districts, also hearing from the White House as well. So that is also great news also. So as we get more information, I promise I'll fill you in on all the updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.